Is McLaren intentionally holding back their fastest driver? Why did Oscar Piastri, the most consistent man in the first half of the season, suddenly fall off the podiums? Bernie Ecclestone just accused the team of sabotaging him to push Lando Norris forward, and with 4 races to go, Piastri is only 1 point behind, and the truth might just be dirtier than we all thought. To understand Oscar Piastri's sudden drop in performance, we have to move past the headlines and into the data. According to McLaren, the root of the issue lies in the characteristics of the MCL39 under low-grip conditions. Circuits like Austin and Mexico expose that sensitivity. These tracks punish cars with unstable rear ends and demand a driving style that embraces oversteer, constant steering correction, and throttle modulation at the limit. It's a style Lando Norris has mastered since karting. For Oscar Piastri, whose strength lies in precision and balance, the environment was less natural. Andrea Stella, McLaren's team principal, was blunt after Mexico. "In these conditions," he said, "Lando generates lap time more naturally. For Oscar, it requires adaptation." The telemetry confirms it. At Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, Piastri was braking earlier than Norris into turn 1, losing nearly 3/10 in the first sector. His corner entry speeds were lower, his throttle reapplication less aggressive. That's not a lack of commitment, it's a lack of confidence. Confidence in the rear stability of the car. When that goes, a driver becomes reactive instead of assertive. And in Formula 1, that's a death sentence to lap time. Long-run data paints an even clearer picture. During FP2 in Mexico, Norris completed a medium tire stint 10 laps long with consistent degradation and stable temperatures. Piastri, using the same compound, struggled to keep his rears within the operating window. His pace faded after just 5 laps. The difference? Not the driver's ability to manage tires. It's how the car's aero balance behaves under heat and load. And that behavior can shift drastically with one change, the floor. Which brings us to the controversy. The revised floor introduced in Mexico was a significant aerodynamic evolution. Geometric changes across all surfaces. Increased load at the rear. Improved flow stability mid-corner. Norris had it. Piastri didn't. Not because he didn't deserve it, but because McLaren, by their own admission, didn't have time to manufacture a second copy. That's understandable on a logistical level. But on a championship level, it's catastrophic. Especially when that upgrade targets precisely the car behaviors that have hindered Oscar for 4 consecutive races. This is why the theory that it's all about driving style starts to fall apart. If Piastri's struggles are purely down to technique, why is McLaren investing time and budget into aerodynamic solutions for those same issues but only on one side of the garage? And why, after Zandvoort, when Oscar had a clear performance lead, did those upgrades not go to him first? In high-performance engineering, priorities are revealed by allocation. And allocation here has favored Norris. Still, Stella insists there's no technical fault with Piastri's chassis. "Every data point says the car is structurally sound," he stated. "No cracks. No performance loss in hidden areas." But that's not the same as saying both cars are equal. Because in Formula 1, equality is not about what's broken. It's about what's missing. And for 4 crucial weekends, Oscar Piastri has been missing one thing above all: the development tools to keep fighting for the World Championship. When Bernie Ecclestone speaks, Formula 1 listens. And this time, he did not whisper. The former F1 Supremo, a man who once dictated the entire sports direction, publicly accused McLaren of sabotaging Oscar Piastri to help Lando Norris. Sabotage, a word with weight, scandal, and implication. But in Bernie's voice, it carried calm clarity, as if he was stating the obvious. "It looks like it, yes," he said, suggesting the team has deliberately held Piastri back. The motive? Not performance, not championship integrity, but marketing. Lando Norris sells more hats, smiles better on camera, and brings British sponsors closer to the garage. And suddenly, what looked like a sporting contest became something else entirely. Look at the numbers. From Saudi Arabia to Zandvoort, Piastri was a machine. 7 wins. 14 podiums in 15 races. He wasn't just competing, he was dismantling the grid, one weekend at a time. While others faltered, he was unshakable. Clean. Efficient. Emotionless. That kind of consistency doesn't come from luck. It comes from mastery. He had a 34-point lead over his own teammate, and was more than 100 points ahead of Verstappen. Nobody questioned who was leading the title race. It was Oscar. By miles. And then, without warning, it stopped. 4 races. 0 podiums. 1 crash. 1 race-ending mistake. 2 weekends of invisible pace. He was nowhere in Austin. Out of sync in Mexico. Suddenly, a man who had been a regular in Parc Ferme was barely visible on Sundays. And while Piastri spiraled, Norris surged. Just in time. Just enough. And conveniently with upgrades. Upgrades that only landed on one car. Norris's. To those watching, it felt wrong. It wasn't just bad luck. It was orchestration. Monza raised eyebrows. Piastri was told to yield to Norris after the Brit had a slow stop, one caused by the team. "It's like Hungary last year," said the engineer. "Let him by." Oscar obeyed. But it cost him 3 points. Then came Mexico. A revised floor arrived, but only for Lando. The excuse? Timing. Manufacturing limitations. But how do you tell a championship leader he's not getting the same car as his teammate? Ecclestone didn't need data to sense the imbalance. He's seen this before. Teams backing one horse while pretending to be fair. And if you believe him, McLaren has already made their choice. Not on the track, but in the boardroom. Where cameras matter more than corner speeds. In his words, McLaren wants a British world champion. Not an Australian surprise. The accusation is brutal. But not impossible. Because this is Formula One. And history remembers winners, not how they were made. The Zandvoort Grand Prix was meant to be Oscar Piastri's coronation. His 7th win of the season. A clinic in execution, tire management, and qualifying precision. That Sunday, he extended his lead over Norris to 34 points. Over Verstappen? 104. The Australian stood alone at the top of the table, and the F1 world began to ask the real question. Not if, but when he would become world champion. The numbers weren't just impressive, they were dominant. This wasn't a lucky streak or a chaotic championship. It was a statement of superiority. Then came the slide. Baku was the first wound, a crash in qualifying, a stall at the start, and a retirement on lap 1. That alone could be written off as a one-off. But what followed was worse. In Austin, Piastri looked pedestrian. He qualified behind Norris, ran off the pace throughout the race, and crossed the line over half a minute behind Verstappen. Mexico made it official. He was no longer the fastest McLaren on track. The gap to Norris? Over 40 seconds. No podium. No fight. Just quiet laps in the shadows. During these 4 races, the championship was reshaped. Norris clawed back points relentlessly. From the hunter to the hunted. From second driver to team focus. As Lando surged, Piastri stumbled. That 100-point cushion over Verstappen? Gone. The Dutchman is now only 36 behind. A title that seemed locked is now cracked open. And Oscar finds himself in a 3-way war, one that he had already won, on performance alone, just weeks earlier. The optics are painful. A driver who had podiumed in 14 of the first 15 races suddenly can't reach the top 3. He hasn't forgotten how to drive. He hasn't suffered mechanical failures. And McLaren hasn't introduced major car-wide changes that would explain such a drop. So what changed? If it's not Oscar, and it's not the car, logic demands a closer look at what is happening behind the scenes. Strategy. Setup. Parts. Priorities. At Monza, the story shifted. Piastri obeyed a team order to let Norris through even after a slow pit stop ruined the Brits' race. The justification was vague, citing precedent and team planning. But the cost was real. It marked the moment when Oscar stopped racing as McLaren's number 1. Then, in Mexico, a new floor arrived, but only for one car. Norris's. The difference? More rear downforce. More stability under braking. More grip in mid-corner. Every area where Oscar had been struggling, this floor addressed. Yet he was told to wait. Everything changed in Baku. It wasn't just a bad weekend, it was a collapse. Oscar Piastri, once the most composed figure on the grid, cracked. A lockup in Q3 sent him into the barriers at turn 3, damaging his MCL 39 and forcing a full chassis change. He qualified 9th, his worst Saturday performance since debuting in Formula One. But the real damage came on Sunday. A false start triggered the anti-stall system, dropping him to the back before turn 1. Then, in desperation, he pushed too hard into turn 5, misjudged the braking point, locked the front left and hit the wall. Lap 1. Race over. 0 points. It was the end of a 34-race scoring streak. For any driver, that would hurt. But for a title contender, it's catastrophic. And worse, it wasn't an isolated incident. In Austin, the speed gap to Norris grew wider. On average, 0.3 per lap. While Norris fought for a podium, Oscar finished a lonely 5th, completely unthreatening. The sprint race was no relief either. Contact at turn 1 eliminated both McLarens in what was judged a racing incident, but the damage was psychological. Norris bounced back. Piastri didn't. Then came Mexico. The moment that confirmed what many feared, Oscar was no longer in control of the narrative. He qualified 8th, promoted to 7th only due to a penalty to Carlos Sainz. But the raw time deficit told the story almost 6/10 slower than Norris. That kind of gap doesn't appear overnight, especially between teammates. During the race, Oscar salvaged 5th, but finished over 40 seconds behind the winner, his own teammate. That result cost him the championship lead. After dominating since April, he was now trailing by a single point. This wasn't just about points anymore. It became a question of perception. Media, fans, even commentators began to speculate. Had Piastri peaked too early? Was he folding under pressure? Was McLaren quietly pivoting their support to Lando? The team never said it outright, but actions, or lack of them, spoke louder. No new floor. No updated parts. And in the post-race interviews, the narrative turned from Oscar's title to lose to can Oscar hold on? And in that shift lies the real drama. Not just the fall in points, but the erosion of momentum. Piastri had been a machine, fast, consistent, unflinching. But the beauty of Formula One is that it exposes even the smallest cracks. And now, everything, confidence, performance, even team trust, has started to shift. Norris, once quiet and frustrated, now commands the spotlight. Verstappen, once irrelevant to this fight, is now looming with Red Bull's upgrades.